All right, so one of my most recent videos, I talked about how mixing is really just solving problems. And once we solve enough problems in our mix, it'll sound professional. Today, we're going to take that concept and focus on how to solve the right problems rather than just solving any problem inside of our mix. Hi, my name is Tyson. I'm a mastering engineer here at Dinosaur Dog Mastering. And today we're going to be diving into how to solve the right problems inside of your mix in order to get a professional sounding mix for your songs. Before I dive into that, I do want to let you know I have the ultimate mixing checklist available for download, and that is available in the description of this video or on the first comment. You can also get that free checklist in order to get better and faster mixes. Okay, so let's dive into how to solve the right problems in your mix. So a couple weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to take my wife on a super fun date night. On Friday, I booked a class for us to paint a painting. And so this is the painting that I painted. So I'm very, very proud of this. So you can tell me how terrible it is later in the comments. But this is the painting that we did, right? There's an instructor that told us how to do all the things, shade the background, and then we, did the other finer details and coloring, whatever. I don't remember exactly how I did it. But the point is that nearing the end of this process, I was looking at my painting and I was really kind of discouraged by it because I was looking up at these lines, they're a little bit shaky, and I've got like random brush strokes that you can see and some like color splotches that I probably had too much water on my brush or something. I don't know. Tons of issues, right, that I can see when I'm looking at this painting up close. But then all of a sudden, when I look at it from a distance and back up from it, and like you are probably seeing, it looks halfway decent. I mean, I'm not claiming it's a Van Gogh or anything, but it looks better from a distance than it does up close because I'm seeing the broad brushstrokes. I'm seeing the broad movement of the painting. I'm not seeing the individual little tiny brushstrokes inside of the painting itself. What does this have to do with mixing? So mixing is the same exact way when we are so distracted by looking really closely at every single detail of our mix, then it often distracts us from the real issues that exist from a distance. The way that a new listener would be listening to our song. So often I encounter mixes or have students who tell me, I've spent 12 hours mixing this song, or even more sometimes. I will listen to it one time through and say, your vocal's too quiet. Nobody's gonna like this song because your vocal is too quiet. That's the fundamental issue with this mix. My students probably have spent 2 hours of their 12 hours mixing this song on the vocal itself, shaping it with EQ, with compression, with saturation, with another EQ, with a different compressor, all this stuff that ultimately fell flat because the broad picture of the mix was that I couldn't hear the vocal. It was too quiet. When we're mixing, the true key in order to solve problems correctly is to back up and being able to view it from an objective, high-level perspective. If we back up and separate ourselves from the mix, all of a sudden that mix sounds a whole lot different than when we were focused solely on our snare drum. This is the true power of mastering, of why mastering engineers oftentimes viewed as the top people in the audio industry, is because we are good at being objective because we're listening to mixes all day long, and it's not just a single mix, it's tons of mixes. If I'm listening to that many mixes and making judgment calls on them and processing them, I get really good at identifying the major issues in each song. And so that's the perspective that you get as being a mastering engineer, and why mastering is a great skill to learn, is because it gives you that objective perspective that you can bring into your mixing process. While it is valuable to be able to back up and view the mix as a whole, identify the actual major problems in your mix, you still need to know how to deal with the detailed stuff as well. So that's the true art form of mixing, is not only being able to identify the broad issues in the mix, but also diving in and addressing those issues in detail with the tools that we're given, because our EQ is only going to be, say, impacting our lead vocal or our snare drum, or name an element of your mix. And that ultimately is going to allow you to be able to make those changes so that from a broad perspective, it looks good and it looks professional. When you're inside of a mix, first of all, take breaks frequently, because when you take even a 5-minute break, come back, it's your mix is going to sound way different to you than when you left it, because your ears become fatigued and you just get used to the sound of your mix. And ultimately, you don't know if you're actually improving it after a certain amount of time because you've just lost that perspective completely. So make sure you're taking frequent breaks, but then also make sure that you're just you're intentionally stepping back from your mix and listening to your lead vocal when you're adjusting the volume of your snare, and vice versa. Because ultimately, it's not about the individual element that is going to make or break your mix. It's its relationship with all of the other elements inside of your mix. Okay, so let me know down below, does this make sense? Did you learn anything in this in a comment down below? And then also, don't forget to pick up the Ultimate Mixing Checklist. You can get that in the description below or on the first comment. With that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.